Good afternoon, and welcome to the Fall SWOG 2016 group meeting. We've been gathering like this twice a year for only about 40 of our 60 years. But at this meeting and always, there's a lot of SWOG tradition and innovation to discuss. As you know, this will also be our major venue for celebrating SWOG's 60th anniversary. Since 1956, we've conducted research to improve the lives of people affected by cancer. We've had an impact on hundreds of thousands of individuals, people who've enrolled in our clinical trials and who've benefited from the treatments we've tested. You'll hear from one such volunteer today at the end of this session. Craig Blanford, a father of 3 from Texas, will tell you how a treatment pioneered by SWOG has given him the chance to raise his kids, love his wife, and simply have more time to enjoy his life. We have a great program before that. I'll give you some hot news and the token amusing story, and talk about our history and our impact. So I've got the past. Then colleagues from NCI take the podium. They've got the present. Andrea Denikoff will give you an update on improvements to informed consent forms. Then Drs. Jeff Abrams and Sheila Prindeville will run a brief town hall on the National Clinical Trials Network, fielding your comments and questions on our new structure. And Dr. Patricia Gans will take us into the future. A longtime SWOG member whom you all know and respect, Dr. Gans, our inaugural Harry Hines speaker, will talk about the new age of survivorship and the exciting research it will most certainly usher in. And there's more. As discussed, Craig will discuss his story. And to close, we have a bit of a surprise. Of course, I can't tell you what that is yet, or it wouldn't be a surprise. But first, I'm sure you're wondering about the new setup here on the stage. Past chairs have given plenary talks using a variety of tools, everything from iPads to 26-page handwritten tomes. My staff, who hate when I go off script, decided if Donald Trump can do it, so can I. They've put me on a teleprompter. Unfortunately, we all remember how that turned out. Hope I'll do better. But in any case, I do want to assure the other speakers, you don't have to use this thing. Now, on to the news. This is hot off the press. On Monday, we selected a web development firm to redesign SWOG.org. As you know, one of the first orders of business when I became chair was a promise to deliver to you a website that's easier to use and that will better connect you to our group and to each other. A team from SWOG, Hope, and CRAB crafted an RFP, sent it to 22 national firms, held a call with 17 of those firms, and vetted the 8 very strong proposals that came in. All the proposals were scored in consistent fashion and reference checks were appropriately made. The team selected iFactory after this rigorous process. This Boston-based firm, as you recall, conducted our user needs assessment late last year, and they know what we want. They are creative and operate efficiently and with clarity. We trust and respect them, and we'll have a kickoff call next week. I'm absolutely convinced this new website will help you better navigate SWOG and conduct your research more efficiently. It will also allow patients and the public to more easily find us and get involved in our trials. I am so excited to move forward on this critical project. Last month, SWOG and CRAB held the second installment of our biostatistical and clinical trials training program under the SWOG Latin America Initiative. We went to Peru for a 2-day training course involving about 50 South American physicians, scientists, and research staff at the Instituto Nacional de Enfermedades Neoplásicas, or INEN, in Lima. INEN is Peru's equivalent to the National Cancer Institute, and the training session was a huge success. Related, and also last month, I'm pleased to report that former SWOG group statistician, Dr. John Crowley, submitted a grant proposal to the NCI that would leverage funds from HOPE, which has backed our SWOG Latin America initiative from the start, into a 5-year federally sponsored program that will provide additional training in Mexico, Peru, Colombia, Chile, and Uruguay. Please stay tuned. Now, last time I went to Peru for SWOG, I traveled to Lima and back within 24 hours, staying for a total of about 2 hours. This time, I decided to experience that beautiful and history-laden country a bit more. I was honored to hike the Inca Trail, seen on the right, and I was amazed by the splendors of Machu Picchu, an Incan citadel high in the Andes Mountains, seen on the left. Though not one of the 7 summits, I had the opportunity to climb Huayna Picchu, one of the nearby landmarks. You can see some of the fun and exciting drop-offs in the photo on the right. Now, my guide gave me some valuable advice for passing and being passed. Mountainside, he said. Always choose the mountainside. Great advice. Now, I was a bit worried lining up at the checkpoint when I noted the next oldest person in line was about 3.5 decades younger than I was. Sure enough, that worry was justified. I made it, though you can see from my face the effort was not pretty. To say I was sucking wind is the understatement of the decade. Adding insult to injury, a very smiley group statistician, Mike LeBlanc, also climbed Wayna a couple days later, and he immediately sent me a picture with the highly taunting claim the hike was easy peasy. Now, I am not accusing Mike of malfeasance, but I did observe a helicopter nearby hovering at the summit, and I was strangely reminded of a certain Boston Marathon winner who conveniently took the subway for part of the race. Now, we don't really have any goodbyes this meeting, and I am pleased to say Dr. Hortabaji will still be breast committee chair through fall. But Gabriel has just announced his intention to step down in 6 months. Senior SWOG advisor, Dr. David Gindera, is heading the search committee for his replacement. So if you're interested or know a good candidate, please talk to David as soon as possible. Effusive praise for Dr. Hortabaji as seminal SWOG leader will certainly come in San Francisco. Moving back to the HOPE funding front, our foundation board just agreed to fund a symposium on end-of-life issues at the general meeting in spring of 2017. We just last week gave a presentation at the ASCO Palliative Care Symposium about SWOG research detailing Oregon's Death with Dignity Act usage for the past 18 years. The research was listed by ASCO as notable, and it is a fertile area to explore. Huge thanks to HOPE and to SWOG's senior advisor, Dr. Frank Meiskens, for his leadership on this important part of cancer care. We can continue our well-deserved applause for HOPE, which also last month approved the latest round of Young Investigator Training Course attendees. It's a remarkably strong crop of early career researchers, and our first all-female group in 13 years, notable for not being noted when we did the actual grant review. The YITC is held each fall in Seattle and is coming up in just 2 weeks. Here are the attendees. Dr. Uma Barate from Oregon Health and Science University for a phase 2 study of brentuximab in systemic mastocytosis and chronic myelomonocytic leukemia. Dr. Aaron Cobain from the University of Michigan for persistently elevated CTCs and chemotherapy refractory metastatic breast cancer treated with combination immune checkpoint inhibition. Dr. Kristen O'Dwyer from the University of Rochester for treatment response adapted therapy for adolescents and young adults with acute myeloid leukemia. Also, Dr. Emma Scott from the OHSU Knight Cancer Institute for a phase 2 study of isatuximab for patients with previously treated amyloidosis. Dr. Virginia Sun from City of Hope for a personalized dietary intervention to manage bowel dysfunction in rectal cancer survivors. And Dr. Cecilia Jung from Fred Hutch for AKR1C3 and POR expression for activation of PR104 in relapsed and refractory T-cell ALL. If you guys are here, please stand and let us congratulate you. Okay, somewhere. Now, astonishingly, 4 of the 6 are heme this year, which I don't think has happened in a long while, if ever. I want to thank Leukemia Chair Dr. Harry Erba, who agreed with almost no notice to fly to Seattle and mentor these liquid investigators after we had a scheduling snafu with the original attendee. Harry, thank you so much. Now, reviewers also evaluated grant applications, and the HOPE Board has approved this year's crop of $50,000 awards from the SWOG Early Exploration and Development, or SEED Fund, which encourages preliminary research that leads to a SWOG trial or translational medicine study. Congratulations to this year's winners, Cecilia Jung, again from Fred Hutch, same title, and Dr. Matthew Hudson from Greenville Health System for optimizing clinical work intensity among medical oncologists. Please join me in congratulating them as well. Now, you may have vaguely heard somewhere we are celebrating our 60th anniversary, which reminds me of an amusing story. It seems that 85-year-old Harry and Esther were flying to Australia for a 3-week holiday to celebrate their 60th anniversary. Suddenly, over the public address system, the captain announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I have some very worrisome news. Our electrical system, including the radio, is completely out. Our engines have ceased functioning, and we have to attempt an emergency landing. Luckily, I do see an uncharted desert island below us, and we'll be able to land on the beach. We should all survive, but the odds are high we may never be found or rescued, and we might have to be on that island for the rest of our lives." Well, thanks to the skill of the flight crew, the plane landed safely. An hour later, Harry turned to his wife and asked, "Esther, did we pay our building fund charity pledge to the synagogue yet? No, sweetheart, she responds. Harry, still shaken from the crash landing, asks, Esther, did we pay our annual Hadassah appeal bill? Oh, no. I'm so sorry I forgot to send the check, she says. One last thing, Esther. Did you remember to send money for the men's club pledge this month? He asks. Forgive me, Harry, begs Esther. I was so excited about our anniversary, I didn't send that one either. Well, Harry relaxes. He grabs her. He dances a little jig, and he gives her the biggest hug and kiss she's had in 60 years. Esther pulls away and says, Harry, we have to spend our final years on this God-forsaken island. Our kids, our grandchildren will never know what happened to us. So, why are you so happy? Harry answers, they'll find us. Now, I am as excited as Harry, in my case, about our 60th anniversary and the celebration we have for you. I strongly encourage you to visit the special exhibit we put up in the Hong Kong room near the main registration desk. That exhibit lets you catch the true spirit and real impact of our work, research that spans 3 generations and 1,300 trials. The small childhood cancer research group started by Texas pediatrician Dr. Grant Taylor back in 1956 has grown into an adult network, and AYA, that spans 46 states and 7 nations. We've enrolled more than 200,000 people onto our trials. We've shared our results in more than 4,000 major publications and presentations. We have 792,692 specimens in our biobank, approximately. Now, along the way, we've clearly changed oncology and people's lives. To prepare for this meeting and our anniversary celebration, my staff has been plumbing our publications, reviewing protocols, and talking with former SWOG leaders, some of whom you'll see at the toast tonight. They confirmed that our work has led to FDA approval of 14 cancer drugs and helped pull 2 drugs from the market due to safety and efficacy concerns. They found that we've changed the standard of care in oncology well over 100 times, and they also confirmed a long tradition of innovation at SWOG. For example, we're the first cooperative group to launch an NCI large-scale precision medicine trial. We conducted SELECT, the nation's largest cancer prevention trial. We're the first cooperative group to partner with basic science members, basic science centers, incorporating them as full members. We're the first cooperative group to invite patient advocates early into the trial planning process, and I would argue we still use our advocates in the most cohesive and meaningful ways. We have the largest international membership. Our philanthropic backing is second to none, and our foundation offers the best support, including the funding of training on top of research. Not so bad, right? But it gets even better. Based on pretty sophisticated research, as we are a research group after all, we can for the first time quantify our impact on people touched by cancer. SWOG biostatistician Joe Unger took on this huge task and worked hard this year analyzing SWOG trial data to determine how many years of life SWOG trials have saved. You can read his publication, perhaps number 4001, in a few months and fully scrutinize his methodology. But in the meantime, here's how he did his research. Dr. Unger whittled a list of 205 randomized phase 3 trials down to 23, studying only those that found in the experimental arm an overall survival benefit of at least 5 years. These 23 trials enrolled 12,361 patients from 1965 through 2012 and tested treatments for a range of cancers, including tumors of the bladder, breast, cervix, colon, stomach, kidney, lung, prostate, and ovaries, as well as leukemias. Next, Joe calculated life years gained from these trials by modeling the difference between patients' average lifespan under the old treatment compared to the new. He mapped the impact of these 23 trial treatments onto the US population using life table data and data from SEER. Sophisticated modeling was used to estimate life years gained, utilizing differences in the areas under the survival curve between old and new treatments. Of course, calculations were premised on the idea the beneficial impact of the new treatment would endure for all future patients with the given cancer diagnosis, and of course, were appropriately age-adjusted. Now, anyone here who didn't peek at the SWOG storybook have a guess as to what Dr. Unger found, his estimated number of life years gained? Yeah, I probably all saw it. Anyway, that number is more than 2 million years, 2+ million years of life saved. Now, Joe actually found that the life years gained from all 23 trials was estimated to be 3.3 million through 2015. But even under extremely conservative modeling assumptions, the number of life years gained was at least that 2 million figure. In fact, this estimate is too low because it doesn't account for the scores of positive SWOG trials not designed to show an overall survival advantage. In any case, I want to thank Joe for this incredible work that again shows you all can and do make a major difference.